Welcome to Digital Learning, an initiative of Directorate of Collegiate Education, Government of Karnataka. Siddhartha, a German novel translated into English by Herman Hesse, is prescribed for fourth semester BSc Generic English, Bengaluru City University. In the previous two sessions, we were introduced to the author and introduced to the novel. We even went in detail through the glossary list. This particular session will focus on the elements of the novel. I'm Nandana NG, Assistant Professor of English, Government First Grade College, Malleshwaram, Bengaluru. The contents of the session: learning objectives, session outcome, the elements of the novel, setting, plot, characters, point of view, conflict, and themes. And ultimately, in the final, we have recapitulation of the entire session. The learning objectives of the session: to review the six elements of the novel: setting, plot, characters, point of view, conflict, and themes. At the end of the session, the students will be able to identify the plot of the novel and the setting in which the novel takes place. The student will be introduced to the characters and also comprehend the point of view through which the novel has been narrated. They will be able to identify the conflict in the novel, not only one, multiple conflicts that are apparent in the novel. The student will also be in a position to recognize the themes that are prevalent in the novel. Now let us start. The novel, if you look at it, there are six primary elements. And the six main elements which composes or which defines a novel are setting. Setting means the time and location in which a story takes place. Siddhartha, the novel, was written by Herman Hesse in it was published in 1922. He came to India in 1919. He did not base the novel during that time, but he based it 100 years ago. So, not only 100 years ago, the setting was 600 BC. So, the setting refers to the time and the location in which a story takes place. Plot. Plot is nothing but the sequence or the events in a story or play, or in a colloquial way, the story of the novel. Conflict. Conflict means the opposition of forces which ties one incident to another, and it makes the plot move ahead. Character, Patradarigalu, the person and his characteristics in a work of fiction. Point of view, perspective, the angle from which a story is told. Theme, the central idea or belief. Setting. The novel Siddhartha takes place in ancient India at around 600 BC, which is roughly the time when the Buddha would have lived. So, this is something which is slightly vaguely strange because at that time, the First World War had just concluded. The society already was on the verge of, going into the Second World War. Herman Hesse could have taken that extinction or that sort of nihilism that was apparent in society as one of his themes, but then he has set his novel in 600 BC. The immediate setting changes several times throughout the story as Siddhartha travels. He moves throughout ancient Indian civilization, living as a member of most of the castes. Towards the end, the major settings are the city where Siddhartha becomes a drunkard and addictive gambler, and the river where he lives with the ferryman and finds home. Plot. A plot, as defined earlier, is nothing but the main essence or the crux of the novel. The story takes place in the ancient Nepalese kingdom of Kapilavastu. Siddhartha is a young man. The protagonist of the novel is a young man by the name Siddhartha. He leaves home to find meaning in life. Through the course of his journey, he meets many people who help him find inner peace and enlightenment. This is very important. He doesn't have one teacher who helps him attain. In fact, he has multiple teachers, multiple experiences which help him find inner peace and enlightenment. After many experiences, he realizes that to be free from desire and find peace within ourselves, we must reach nirvana, a state of blissful emptiness. Let us now introduce ourselves to the characters. Always, the characters are created by the author. In fact, they are his own creation. They are like his own children for that matter. Characters usually have a purpose to serve. characters usually serve as a mouthpiece of the author. Whatever the thoughts of the author, he puts it into words which the characters speak throughout the novel. Now, let us introduce ourselves to the prominent characters in the novel. Siddhartha. Siddhartha is a young man. He is a protagonist. The entire novel revolves around Siddhartha. His close friend, Govinda, he is a close friend of Siddhartha and also a follower of Gautama. Siddhartha's father is a Brahmin who was unable to satisfy Siddhartha's quest for enlightenment. The Samanas, Samana means a wandering or traveling ascetics, sannyasigalu, who tells Siddhartha that deprivation leads to enlightenment. Gautama, this is again a very prominent character. Gautama is no one else than the Buddha, whose teachings are rejected, but whose power of self experience and self wisdom is completely praised by Siddhartha. In fact, we should be aware that Gautama's original name, that is Buddha's original name, was Siddhartha. So maybe the author has named the protagonist as Siddhartha in anticipation that, like Buddha, our protagonist also will achieve enlightenment. The other prominent characters are Kamala, a courtesan, Siddhartha's sensual mentor and mother of young Siddhartha, Kamaswami, a merchant who instructs Siddhartha on business, Vasudeva, an enlightened ferryman and spiritual guide of Siddhartha. Young Siddhartha, he is the son of Siddhartha and Kamala, lives with Siddhartha for a time. At last, it runs away to Adan. Now let us look at the conflict. What is meant by conflict? If you look at it that way, conflict is nothing but the dispute that arises between the characters. There are two types of conflicts: internal conflict, external conflict. What is external conflict? External conflict is where a character is dealing with the force outside themselves, such as war or other characters' actions. To define it simply, a character, when he has a sort of friction with something outside, with an external force, that is known as external conflict. There are many such external conflicts. The conflict between Siddhartha and his father, when Siddhartha first decides that he wants to leave home and rejects the teachings that have not allowed him to reach nirvana. So that is the first conflict that occurs in the novel. The conflict between Siddhartha and the Buddha, when Siddhartha takes issue with the Buddha's teachings and cannot stay and follow him. So the point of dispute that Siddhartha has with Lord Buddha is the second point. Conflicts with Govinda, his best friend, who wants to stay and join the Buddha while Siddhartha wants to keep traveling. Conflict. Later in the novel, we see the conflict that occurs with Kamaswami and Kamala, the two characters who symbolize materialistic aspects. Siddhartha later conflicts to a great extent with his son. So all these are the different multiple conflicts, external conflicts. Internal conflict. Internal conflict refers to the struggle that occurs within a character's mind or the issues that the character strives for throughout the plot internally. Siddhartha's internal search and journey for an absolute enlightenment. This is the most important pivotal conflict, internal conflict that occurs throughout the novel. Siddhartha overcomes his internal conflict from the beginning or from the learning gained from Vasudeva and the river, and at last is able to acquire enlightenment. Now, I have included a small picture here which clearly shows how conflict can be divided into external and internal. In external, we can see character versus character. That is when the dispute arises between two characters based on thought or action, that is known as external. Likewise, when a character has a point of dispute with society, character versus nature, all these come under external conflict. Internal conflict is the ones that occur within a character or within ourselves. Point of view. Point of view is nothing but perspective, drishtikona. Third person point of view. So what is third person? This style of writing is most commonly used when the writer is telling a story from somebody else's point of view. Always remember, any story, novel, drama for that matter has a point of view. In Siddhartha, the novel, the third person point of view is used. That is to say, someone else is narrating the story. We are not going through the novel from Siddhartha's perspective or Lord Buddha's perspective. None of the characters' point of view is utilized here. A third person's point of view perspective is used here. So what is a third person? The style of writing is most commonly used when the writer is telling a story from somebody else's point of view. That is to say, it's as though the writer is an outsider looking in, recounting the events that happen to the individual or group of individuals, but the writer themselves have no direct experience of the events. So there are certain pronouns that should be used in third person writing, and these differ from the ones that we have already looked on first and second person writing. So to again sum it up, point of view can be there are three types of point of view: first person point of view, second person point of view, and third person point of view. First person point of view is when the person who is a character himself is dictating the novel. Second person is another person in the novel is dictating. A third person point of view, as the one that we see in the novel Siddhartha, an outsider, a person who is not related to any of the events or characters, he is the one who is narrating the novel. So the point of view is sorry, point of view is told from a third person omniscient viewpoint. It elaborates on the perceptions and streams of consciousness of many characters within the novel. The third person perspective lends a more distant, descriptive quality to the narration. This has a very positive side to this third person narration because he is more or less objective. He is not giving his personal opinions. He or she is just describing what is happening or what the character is doing. Readers are not immediately involved in the action in this third person point of view. It also helps us to view Siddhartha as an allegory that transmits abstract concepts. Themes. There are many themes that are prevalent throughout the course of the novel. First, let us try to define what is a theme. Theme is the main idea or underlying meaning of a literary work. What is it that symbolizes? What is the main aspect of the novel? A theme may be stated or implied. At times, the theme is very clear. Even in fact, the name itself suggests what is it that is trying to talk about. But then, theme differs from the subject or topic of a literary work in that it involves a statement or opinion about the topic. So, there are multiple themes that are reflected in the novel. These are the prominent themes that are listed here. The first theme, the search for spiritual enlightenment or nirvana. As understood till now, Siddhartha, the protagonist in the novel, his eternal search for spiritual enlightenment or nirvana is the most prominent theme in the course of this novel. And then we also see the second theme, inner versus exterior guidance. At times, Siddhartha goes in search of a teacher who will help him attain nirvana. In spite of his interaction with multiple teachers, he is unable to get the desired guidance. At last, guided by his inner self, he somehow manages to gain enlightenment. We can see this theme again very prominently. Next, the third theme, wisdom of indirection. This again we can later discuss in the other sessions wherein the critical analysis of the text is done. There, the wisdom or the knowledge of indirection, how at times we are not aware which direction we are traveling, but yet somehow we come to the ultimate destination. Truth and illusion. This is a very important theme through the course of the novel. The conflict or the difference between truth or satya and illusion or brahme is seen. Most of the times, Siddhartha was under the illusion that he was living a truthful life, but at last he realizes that whatever he had believed in was not true, and what he did not expect was actually the truthful element. Satisfaction and dissatisfaction. This again we can see in the course of the characters, the cycles of life. All these themes which are reflected in the course of the novel. To recapitulate, the primary elements of a novel are six in number, and they are setting, plot, characters, point of view, conflict, and themes. Now that we have understood the six elements of the novel, the next two sessions will critically analyze all the 12 chapters present in the novel. These six elements will help us understand the text better. References. Thank you.